In this lesson, my goal is for you to understand what is going on in this screen. But first, I want to get on the same page. This button up here is the Workspaces button, and it has a bunch of layouts for Premiere Pro. Notice that Premiere Pro has all of these different panels, and you might not know what any or all of these do, but if I change the workspace, it creates a different layout. I can go to Essentials, and some of them are a bit obvious for what they do. If I'm working on editing the audio, I might open up the audio view. I want you to choose the starter view. It's the first one at the top. And to make sure we're all at the same space, if you've opened Premiere Pro in the past, go to the bottom and choose Reset to Saved Layout. That means that we should all see the same thing on our screen right now if you're following along. So let's go through these panels and show you the basics. And throughout the course, we'll be opening up new panels, changing our workspaces, and you'll learn more. But right now, I just want you to get comfortable with the basic layout. Here we have the panel for our project. You can see that it has folders in Premiere Pro. They're called bins. And these bins can be opened up by double-clicking them. And when I do that, it opens up a new tab up here. And you can see that this window up here, which is highlighted in blue, has multiple tabs, and you can just get to them by clicking on them. You can also change the view of this by clicking this button here to list view. I prefer this view for a lot of times when I'm just organizing files and footage, which we'll be doing more of. And it's just easier to go into and find different assets. However, you'll notice that if I go back into my video bin, and let's just go into my B-roll bin, that when you're in the icon view compared to the list view, you have a preview of what these look like. And so you can even use your mouse to scrub through, just hovering over it, and see what this looks like. To close a tab, you can just right-click and choose Close Tab, Close Tab. And you can also adjust the size of a window. So if you hover over the edge of a window and drag up or down or to the side, you can readjust the size, which you'll be doing a lot of. For example, this next window in the middle is our program monitor. This references what is on our timeline right here. This is called Final Sequence, but that is just the name of the sequence we're editing this project on. I'll talk more about sequences in an upcoming lesson. But here, if I press play on my timeline, you can see what's happening in our program monitor. You can play that by pressing the play button here or this space bar on your keyboard. Also, lots of buttons here. Don't get overwhelmed yet. There's lots of things, there's lots of options. We'll be going over this in more detail as we move on. But just know that this is the program monitor, and that's showing what's on our timeline. The timeline has all kinds of stuff going on. So you can see here, I can zoom into the timeline just by clicking the end of this little zoom scroll bar. You can move around the timeline by dragging that to the right or left. You can also use a keyboard shortcut, which I highly recommend getting used to. For zooming in and out, it's just the plus and minus keys. You can make this bigger because there's some things that are hidden on our timeline that we can't see because it was too small. The only thing I want you to know right now about the timeline is that you see that there's different tracks, V1, V2, V3, and then below this line, there's A1, A2, A3. The top is video tracks and the bottom is audio tracks. And so for this project, you'll see that we have tracks that contain video clips. If I click in this timeline up here, or I scrub through it, I take the timeline indicator, this little blue bar. This is our spot on the timeline that we're paused at or we're stopped at. Here we can see on the screen some of these elements. We can see this title card, which right now is purple. We can change the color of all of these things if we want. Video clips are blue. If I zoom out and move over here, I have a bunch of layers. I have dust and scratches. I see my photo. I see a paper texture. I see a white mat. All of this builds upon itself to create this look. Below this, we have our audio. We have a green music track. We have some audio from our video clips. We have a sound effect going on. So that's all happening down here in these tracks. To the left of this, we have our editing tools. So lots of tools we'll go over. You'll see things like the rectangle tool, the text or type tool, lots of tools to do everything we need to edit, add titles, graphics, that kind of thing. As I'm clicking around, you might notice something happening up here in what this window is called the Properties panel. And if I move around to a different clip, you'll see that we can change properties here. We'll learn how to do all of that, but that's how you scale things up, rotate them, crop, add text, change your font. All of that happens up here. And the last thing here on this view is the audio monitor. So as I play through this, you'll notice we have these green bars bouncing up and down. Those are our audio levels that are bouncing up and down. Super important to pay attention to when you're adjusting the volume of talking versus ambiance so that you have a nice sounding video. So that's where I'm going to leave it for now. We are going to dive into so much more. Just remember that you can change the workspaces here. And also, if you need to open a panel, which is what these are called, like for example, behind project, we didn't talk about it, but there's an effects panel, which has all the effects that we might want to apply to our video. If you don't see a panel that I'm using in the course, you'll find those up in the window. And then down here are all of our panels. For example, there's a source monitor panel, which is often very important because if we go into our video clips in our project panel, we can double click any of these video clips and preview it up here. We're going to learn how to edit these, add them to the timeline, all coming up. But for now, I hope you feel a little bit better about what's going on in Premiere Pro. And I will see you in the next lesson.